Hello. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm hoping I fix this. I think I fixed it. Jeez, please. Ay, ay, ay. Hopefully, you guys can hear me now. Yay. Whew. All right. Thank you, Dolores. And good evening. This was unplanned. But this is what happens when I have to just deal with things. So I had received numerous emails, comments, and I can't believe I'm here to have to do this. It's so redundant. I mean, I did have some other things I wanted to talk about, but in case you didn't notice, I just don't do videos just to do them. I do them when I feel like I have something to say. Hi, Blue Dragonfly. Welcome, welcome. So, in the graphic for thumbnail for this, there's a picture of Julia Valenti. And so I'm going to start there with discussing her. And what you see in the thumbnail, which I will just quick share a larger image of it. Right here, okay? She has the canine handler. She is the canine handler that has been searching for Sebastian Rogers, okay? I received multiple emails and I received comments on unrelated posts, but that were asking and discussing her. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just a little education. And I just get so mad. So she was an anti-terrorism officer in the U.S. Army, okay? She's a canine handler. Let me just read this. As the anti-terrorism force protection and intelligence officer for the U.S. Army, my role encompasses a wide range of responsibilities, from leading anti-terrorism working groups to developing comprehensive security plans. The culmination of my skills in emergency management and law enforcement has positioned me to effectively counter potential threats and ensure the safety of military operations. My role as a force protection and operational security officer has led me to establish myself as a nationally certified canine handler with my own company, the Canine Captain. 4 of my canines are nationally certified. 2 are certified at the state level, and my newest, Malinois, is expected to be fully certified in the fall. And I'm not sure when this was written. I am frequently with federal and state organizations in addition to private corporations. Her company, but before that, 14 years in the Army. She has been with anti-terrorism and intelligence since July of 2023. Prior to that, she was a BDE S3 officer in the military police. Before that, company commander, military police, battalion S2, military police, physical security manager, transportation, military police, battalion anti-terrorism officer, military police officer, personal security and investigations, owner of the Canine Captain, MBA from Penn State University, okay, Bachelor in Fine Arts from King's College, volunteer firefighter from 2013 to 2018. Let's stop, please. And the picture I showed you is what I want you to focus on, because everybody's got something to say about the fact that she's written a book, or she's been in a movie or shorts, and that they're military related film projects that she doesn't make money off of. Okay. And this woman has committed her life to serving and protecting our country for all of these years. She continues to do so. She's highly credentialed. She's going to Tennessee more than once, repeatedly going there, searching every whim lead people give her. And everybody, especially creators, are just ripping this woman down because she has a shred of decency, because she has emotions, because she is in the military. She shouldn't be allowed to have feelings or get her feelings hurt or be offended when people are trashing her. That in some way makes her less of a canine handler, makes her less of a soldier. And I have been in communication with her. I don't come on my channel and report every communication that we have. I have seen photos of her searches where she's looked. I've seen her dogs. I've sent her my own suggestions on places that she could look. I have, with my own eyes, have read. I'm looking at it, but I won't read it all, and I will not release it all. But I have read the memo of her credentials from the military, and with regards to canine handling. It blows my mind. Like, you just cannot. These creators, investigators, whatever people want to call themselves, public relations, PR people, doesn't matter to me. And all the horrible things that I have seen in chats, horrible, horrible. Um, because she's done these, uh, military films. For heaven's sake, it's like she's out. They're treating her like she's out there making triple X films when she's making. It's just it doesn't even deserve to be talked about. The bottom line is this is what this poor kid Sebastian's case life memory has turned into. Just absolute BS, made up, false stuff. You can no longer Google this poor woman, I'll say it, poor woman's name, and be just smothered with all of her credentials, because you have to get through all the absolutely ridiculous Reddit posts, speculation posts that are just covered on the internet. It's like people should be so embarrassed of themselves. And if there's anybody that follows this channel, this woman, as you saw in the picture that I shared, okay, I guess I want to performs the military honors for funerals of fellow fallen soldiers. Can you imagine, anybody who has ever had to participate in a funeral, whether you're standing shaking hands as people are coming through, whether you've been a pallbearer in a funeral, or you've stood graveside for a service. If you've never been to a military funeral or to one where someone received military honors, or you've heard the bagpipes at a funeral, I mean, I have goosebumps right now because it's so emotional. And I have been to them, and that is just another service that she provides. And the fact that she is out there and could show actual emotion because people are just ripping her to shreds like they did to all the good people that have come before her. And I'll just say this, if people want to keep doing that, keep doing that. Okay. I still don't think she'd give up, because she's just out there and she's just doing this. And just because she doesn't want to talk to everybody or do what everybody else wants her to do, and she wants to just deal with law enforcement directly and stay focused on her mission, that seems to bother people. But instead, I'm sure she has plenty of other things she could be doing with her time. And if she wanted to offer this service that she's doing down there out of the kindness of her heart, regardless of not even the parents being appreciative that she's there, I could just rattle off the names of cases and families that would just be tripping over themselves to get her on their child's case. So this is what I say every time when I talk about some of these content creators and their lies, or the way they put themselves out there like they're Mother Teresa, or this one's a saint and this one's this, and you guys don't even know their backgrounds. I could sit here all day. I guess I learn this stuff. I'm not an idiot. Yes, Ellie, I could read this stuff all day long about the absolute horrible crimes committed by some of the people that have 150, 200,000 followers on YouTube, and their violent backgrounds, their financial crimes, all these horrible things they've done. But hey, let's everybody believe that person before we believe this woman, right? Like, we have to ask ourselves, who's in this for what? The person she's not making any money off of this? No, she's not. She is not. She is not out there to make money. She is not charging the family. As a matter of fact, we don't even know if the family is happy. Well, I've seen really shitty comments. So let me just say, I don't believe that at least Seth is happy that she's there, because she's not doing what he wants her to do, the way he wants it done. Unfortunately, he's not the professional. You don't go to the police department or the FBI or your TBI, GBI, CBI and tell them how they're supposed to do their job. You don't go and tell a doctor how to be a doctor. She doesn't need anybody telling her how to do her job. And if you can't just support her, then just shut up talking about her. She doesn't need distractions, and she shouldn't have to even waste her time defending herself. And I shouldn't. But I feel so bad that this is happening again. It's because nobody can come up with anything else to talk about. I'm looking at people's crappy comments about her. Bullhorn Betty had a bad day. Well, I'm not going to give her my oxygen, because I know the truth about who she is. So no, I'm not going to sit here and talk about why she probably had a bad day, because it's well documented why she has bad days that have nothing to do with YouTube. And I think people need to stop and think about, what are these people in this for? I listened to a channel I don't listen to. And I'm not going to say the creator's name, but some of you might like that creator, and that's your business. I don't care who you listen to. But I listened to the channel because they were interviewing a friend of Katie's that she was in the Navy with in California. And thank you, Diane. Yes, thank you, Jules. Thank you for your service, your continued service to our country. Thank you for protecting our country. Thank you for honoring all of the fallen soldiers whose funerals you have performed services at. Thank you for going to Tennessee, and thank you for rising up when all of these people are trying to make you fall, because you have your own army behind you. I assure you of that. And it's very hard to ignore when there's so much noise. It's overwhelming. I get it. But just know that's not real. It's not real. Like I tell my 5-year-old, that's pretend. It's pretend. It's what it is. I put on this creator I don't usually listen to. I have, but it's not often. But they were interviewing a former co-worker in the Navy, but also like one of Katie's basically best friends to this day, but they lived together very long in California. I agree, Ellie. I completely agree. And I listen because I like to think I don't have confirmation bias. I like to believe that I can still take in information regardless of who it favors if it's going to give me something that might help anybody figure out where Sebastian is, um, or learn about Sebastian, that it's worth my listen. And so I don't know if some of you have listened to the um, interview with Aunt Gabby, is what she's called. She wasn't like biologically Sebastian's aunt. And I listened to it, and I felt it was, for the most part, I was going along for quite a long time, and I was like, okay, well, this is good. I mean, I was hearing, her perspective. I was hearing how much time that she would spend with Katie and Sebastian, and basically what their life was like before Chris. And, despite what it seemed like when Seth told the story, it seemed like when Katie had any opportunity to leave the vessel or be home, that she was trying to do family type things with Sebastian, and that, this friend would often participate. They would spend hours together. They would game. They would love going to the pool. She talked about, how it was very financially difficult, that yes, Seth wasn't working, but even with Katie working, what they make was terrible to live on when you're living in California. And, the friend was saying, that sometimes she would pay for things just so they could do certain things because she knew, they didn't have the money to do it. She talked about, her opinion that Seth might be autistic as well. Obviously, she's not a clinician, but, she was saying the way that he connected with Sebastian made, and the way he handled like his own emotions and physical reactions, and intellectually, and different things, that she thought, that there was a chance he could be, and maybe he should get tested for it. But regardless, he was a good dad. She did talk about some incidents of, some yelling, and he hit Sebastian upside the head because Katie and her friend Gabby, came home, and they said, Sebastian, we're going to go swimming. And he jumped up and they went swimming. And when Seth woke up from a nap, and he went down to the pool, he got very upset that Sebastian didn't tell his mom he was in trouble. And so he yanked him out of the pool, whopped him upside the head. And yeah. So I was listening to this, and I thought, oh, Miss Melody, oh, thank you so much for being here. Well, you missed my mini rant, but so, I'm listening to all of this, and I'm finding, some of it to be like valuable information. What was something else she said? That he's not good at controlling his emotions. What was interesting to me was when they asked about some of the behaviors that we see, where maybe he is Seth is quick to lose his temper, if that is typical. And she did say that he, is quickly misunderstood because of some of those inabilities to control his emotions sometimes. She did say that she felt like, not that he would be taken advantage of necessarily, like he's not that naive necessarily, but that if he is offered friendship because, and we're talking about Seth, because he doesn't get that relationship with people often in his life, that it would be very hard for him to sever that, which makes me think about Tony. Tony is, um, gave him the olive branch, and she said that she thought it'd be hard to believe that Seth would end that relationship because of, Seth not really having a support system. Um, there was an interesting slip up, and I think Katie texted her during the interview because she was telling a story about how Seth bought a Gordon Ramsay chef online chef class to learn how to make beef Wellington, and that she just loved it and it was amazing. And then she got a text and she said, "I'm sorry." Apparently, that was towards the end of the divorce, and that was not from Seth. So I thought it was interesting that that slip up happened, because I thought, okay, if she recalls eating that meal with Seth, Sebastian, and Katie, but the gift was from Chris, um, I guess you guys can put two and two together. Um, but so I'm going along in this interview, they were talking about how, Sebastian was, taught how to fight against bullies, which got my mind on this whole bully thing, because I feel so passionate about that. And I thought it was interesting that she shared that Sebastian had so many friends in California. She was talking about neighborhood kids and all of that. And it is possible that because, he didn't mature as quickly as others his age, that might have been the difference when he moved to Hendersonville. But then part of me thinks about others that I know, and it typically isn't a no friend thing. It typically usually results in that child maybe having friends that are just a little younger than them because they align more mentally and socially. But she, we've heard he had no friends in Hendersonville from his parents. Um, she did, make a lot of efforts, like Rocco said, to be very careful. And it didn't even seem like she was totally being careful. Like she seemed like she was, I believed her that she was just kind of saying it like it was, and that I don't think she really faulted either of them, just made it seem like, no matter what, maybe they're not like the most perfect people, but that beyond a doubt, like they absolutely both loved Sebastian. She could never see them harm Sebastian. But one interesting thing, then it came up that, because they lived in different places, that she does not know Chris. She doesn't know him. And so I feel like the interview is going well, and I felt really good. I'm hearing, another perspective, and I'm being open-minded. But then I knew the well was poisoned. I was like, okay, the well has been poisoned. Do I think that she was maybe intentional? I guess I don't know what she was doing intentionally. I would like to believe in my heart that she's just being given the information she's being given, you know, and she was going through, what do you think might have happened? And one of the things she was talking about was, being lured, which there's plenty of people that think he was lured by an internet predator. Be frank, she has been seen. She has met with people. She does not have an obligation to meet with the parents or speak with the parents. And she is dealing directly with law enforcement. If the parents choose to not want her to search for their missing child because she is not speaking to them or using the items they want Jules to use, then they either A, don't want to find their son, or B, they're way too all about themselves and they're making a bad decision. That's just the way I'm going to put it. I absolutely, it's a flat out lie that she has not been seen in Tennessee. It's a flat out lie. And I can tell you that I'm not even going to get into the pissing match with other creators, but I will say there are other creators in the state of Tennessee who have face-to-face interacted with her and then still proceed to act like she's not there. That's how sick and twisted people are. But they're all saints, right? They're all saints. So I won't indulge that anymore. I spent the first 20, 25 minutes talking about that. And I lost a couple subscribers the last time I said I am not going to tolerate good people that are volunteering out of the goodness of their heart being ripped down, as we've seen a handful of them be. It's despicable. It's disgusting. And that they can certainly choose to take their time to go find another child. But at least here, I hope and pray that she says, to hell with what anyone else thinks about me. I'm here to find Sebastian. It's not about making anyone else feel warm and fuzzy. So, and, I don't have to show all my receipts, as they say. Yeah, a blue dragonfly, we have heard this. And, she was kind of asked about that. And she said, I don't think that he was trying to be the way he was being towards Sebastian, but she just felt like he just doesn't know how to regulate his emotions. And I don't know. I mean, if at this point in his life, nobody around him and his family or otherwise have, if he has things going on, I don't know him personally. I haven't spent enough time with him to know if there is possibly anything there. But it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, yes, he has the fluid, the soft spot, on his head, and that was talked about because, that was a potential injury that could occur to him that could potentially cause like instant death. So it's horrible. I mean, and I think that, I mean, at least we have concrete court documents, or direct parent statements to say that at least both of the men have put hands on him. So, with bashing good people, now here we go. I'm following this interview along, and, I'm just taking it in because I just think it is important to hear all sides to try to process, it's how you try to get to the truth. And then I realized the well had been poisoned. She has not really been super, she hasn't had a lot of communication with Katie since she's been married to Chris. And, and then she does this interview and she was talking about the things she thought might have happened. And then she I could play it. She says that one of her theories was that Nina was the only person that would have something to gain. She said she went all over Nina's Facebook and that Nina didn't start posting pictures of her children until March. And in reality, I think that she just didn't allow people, like her profile wasn't as private. But to say that Nina, and she just could not believe her, and because Chris is just amazing, and she's the one that was had the most to lose, and so basically implying like Nina harmed Sebastian or abducted him, came from New Mexico to do that because of what? Like, it made me sick to my stomach, like that. And that's how I knew the well had been poisoned. And this is what I mean. And I could tell that even some of the people because some of the people that are part of the panel weren't all, they don't get all cray-cray, but some do, and foul. I think you could tell that nobody on that panel expected that to come out of her mouth. And I don't think any of them believed that was even a rational thought process. So there's now, again, another person who's we're victim blaming. Let's just look. We have just this man, Chris, and his family put this woman through her worst nightmare, with his family in tow doing it with him. And then they put her through a nightmare again in court this time around. And this woman is just literally saying good morning and good night every day to a sunset and a sunrise because she doesn't get to look at her baby girl anymore. And yeah, she must have hurt Sebastian because what? Because of what? Like, it was like you had me that, you are just here. You're just telling your factual memories about what your life was like in California. I thought she's being forthright. She's being honest about what she does not know now. Miss Melody, this was Gabby. She was in the Navy with Katie. She was in the Navy with Katie, and she spent a lot of time. I don't know, because I also thought, Ellie, that Katie was back to work as well. So she was in the Navy with Katie, and she lived in the barracks, but Katie, had a private place. And so she would go over to Katie's a lot and spend hours there at a time with Seth and Katie and Sebastian. And Sebastian used to call her Aunt Gabby, but she does not know Chris. She didn't even know of Chris until I want to say she either said they had been married a year and a half, or she said a year and a half ago from now. Not CP, well, maybe CPS, but the New Mexico court system and that judge who I've talked about previously, about that judge's record of putting children in the hands of unsafe, unfit people. Are there a lot of people that have not heard this interview that Gabby did? I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah, it was Cluminati's channel. It was a panel. It had Cluminati, Duchess. Well, it wasn't super relevant. I didn't have a whole lot. But then, I didn't even have much notes from it. It was just kind of like, getting, I guess, a little perspective, on what she observed of Sebastian maybe in those earlier years, about how social he was, how he adapted. A lot of that kind of stuff can change. But what else was so interesting is then I see some of these other awful creators going out there calling her Seth's best friend, depending on which side of the fence they were. And then sometimes they were like, it's Chris's best friend. And it's like, nope, didn't know Chris. And I think Seth was not exactly maybe like friend so much as, it's like any female who has another friend, the spouse is just part of the package. It's not that they didn't I did a little something on the, I don't know where it is. I'm sure somewhere in this playlist, about the judge that was handling the case. And it does seem that that judge has put children in unsafe homes on many occasions. And there are people trying to get her to, trying to get her to off the bench. And yeah, I mean, I of course I thought, she's going to tell everything in the most favorable light to her friend. I mean, you have to assume that because, she is her friend. But you just don't ever, know. But then once I heard the part about Nina was when I really knew they've been feeding her, and obviously, Katie was messaging her throughout the interview. She was texting her, and And she says she's been going into chats and things like that. I mean, I would imagine, um, well, Cluminati and Duchess are the two that Chris and Katie have felt like they've been comfortable to speak with from the beginning. So it definitely doesn't really surprise me. But I think I was just bummed, really bummed. Um, that it just, she had been a poisoned well. Um, However, the hurt, well, and the Lord thing, with the gaming, I said this from the beginning. I just don't think that he would have left without shoes and his, Nintendo Switch, or some type of gaming thing, if that was the reason. But again, these are just, it's just, now you got Nina being thrown under the bus, and it's like, just stop. Ugh. I've seen all these stories. And this is not the first time, but now, then everybody's telling all these stories about poor Caleb Harris's phone being found. And I'm just like, man, stop, stop, stop. No, stop, stop. But there's big graphics all over YouTube and little tags and write-ups and comments on Facebook. And, then you got every creator out there, they're posting, I'm going live to talk about, you know, the Sebastian was in the cemetery in Sardis, which is Henderson County, not Hendersonville, but yes, it is on the path to Memphis. So you could see that connection. It's halfway to Chris's work. Okay. However, like, you can't, how do you just, like, they said they haven't identified the person, but they were 16 years old. So when they said they were 16, that to me said that they had not notified family, but they had a good reason to believe they knew who it was. Sebastian's 15. But that didn't stop everybody from spending 3 or 4 hours, on streams and alleged posts and all of that, just claiming this poor young man, that lost his life and is, found in a cemetery. They just had to make it Sebastian. Just like the picture of the kid in Wisconsin, like, no, but it's just making things up to make them up. So, I just had to get some of that off my chest. But hopefully this person is still going to come aboard. I believe I don't even know if fired is the word, because he doesn't have a contractual agreement with any of these people, but I believe, oh yeah. Okay. Hold on. One question at a time. Let me do this Caleb thing. I believe they were just frank that they just don't want to be involved in anything. They just are worried about their son. And, Tony, you go do what you got to do with this case and that drama. But, we have a different agenda over here. And so I think they did it in a respectful, well-mannered way, not a, rawr, you're fired thing. And, I think they did it just in a way to like try to make it as peaceful as possible. They still work together, you know? Um, so Vivian asked, I did post a post about this earlier, but I'm just basically saying this. I have made a few statements. I'm not going to play any of them. So everybody is going to listen to all of the alleged audio recordings that people are listening to and tying to videos. I everybody's entitled to do what they want to do on their channels. That's just not how I'm going to roll. So I, if a video is released and it has audio and video, awesome. If audio comes later, I have no interest. And I don't really have interest in a lot of videos once they get edited and blown up and distorted. I just can't trust them at that point. We're not talking about people who are like forensic IT people who are doing these things. I guess everybody's going to listen to those things and trust their sources, and that's all I can do. But I personally am not. I'm just not believing that. I'm not believing in it. So, and I don't believe sitting in June that. I don't believe that the police received a video that had audio, and that, Nick Barris got this video with audio and everybody chose to not include the audio. And, now, I have observed people trying to basically claim it was this neighbor that gave it to him, this one and that. So I'm just choosing to not play it, on my channel. I mean, it's going to be played on, it's all over Facebook, it's all over YouTube. So everybody, can just listen at their own discretion and make of it what they choose to. I mean, there was the flashlight video had been modified and blown up and altered in multiple different ways. And a lot of people, took many different things from it, depending on, who you watch, what they said they saw, and all types of stuff like that. And I mean, that's just me. Like I said, I'm, and maybe I'm pretty conservative about what I, if you're talking about the interview, I posted the link earlier up in the chat. Where can you find the audio? I would think you could probably see it on any, I would imagine, Clutch Them Pearls, I think, is playing it. Maybe J for Justice. I don't know. A lot of channels. You could probably Google it, and it's definitely being talked about. Oh, the rain. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's all over. It's all over YouTube. so you could possibly listen to it on multiple channels. But I do know when I opened my app tonight, the most recent one I think was Clutch Them Pearls that had it. Yeah, because I think I noticed the picture and he had like a headset on or something, and it was like everybody listened with their headsets on. Peter Hyatt. Yeah, I mean, I have a great deal of respect for Peter Hyatt. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to go back and listen to him. I agree with, like, I think it was like 99.5% of his theory. And the other 0.5, I think, I don't know. I just, but it's so hard to figure out what he would. I don't know, but I'm with thinking out loud. That's kind of why I've been pretty quiet on this case, because you can make stuff up all day long, but I mean, there isn't anything new really happening. I mean, we just haven't had any real concrete anything happen. And I mean, if Sebastian came back tomorrow and if he was in a position to share what happened and he said like he just ran off, I mean, it would probably be status quo. The bar and the threshold in court, in family court, is very, very high to take away somebody's, custody permanently. I don't know. But, that's the thing. I just feel like we haven't, other than the neighbors interview, which I felt like, did have some good nuggets. But as far as the case itself, like nothing's happened at all. I mean, it has basically been stalled for months. I mean, there's just nothing happening. I don't know anything new that has happened at all. Yeah. So I could just say, I could come on here every night, but I mean, you can only just go back and forth over the same thing, so many times. That being said, assuming nothing changes, tomorrow evening, 9:30 p.m., I am supposed to have somebody joining me, and it's regarding the Elijah Vu case, the 3-year-old from Two Rivers. Well, he's not from Two Rivers, but he went missing in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, while in the care of Jesse Vang. And I am going to be speaking with here live tomorrow night with someone who was incarcerated with Elijah Vu's mom. And to try to learn, well, there was a lot of things that were going on once she was arrested, and you know, a lot of things happened inside jail, and so I think she will at least shed some light on Katrina's frame of mind. In jail. And if you've seen any of the court hearings on my Elijah Vu playlist, she's typically pretty stoic in court and very mute. And so I'm very interested to hear her kind of explain some of the behaviors and statements that Katrina has made. Some I'm aware of, but I know that there's more as far as what she's saying while she's in prison or in jail right now on the charges of child neglect. And so I'm hoping that we will get some insight into that, as well as she is very much local to the area in the county that Elijah went missing. So there are some questions that I plan to ask that are related to the area, and something else that I've been like really nervous to ask about, because it's uncomfortable and not super safe thing to be talking about. So I have agreed, that I won't use her last name, and if she just wants to participate without video, that is acceptable. But hopefully we can learn some information. Yeah, the Elijah Vu case is, there's a lot more there than I think a lot of people realize. I do have a playlist on Elijah's case. I've also done active searching, and will continue to do so. But I just kind of learned about a tie, and I'm hesitant to ask about it. But if you don't ask, I guess you don't get the answer, right? But that is another case that's very much stalled. I mean, not stalled in the search sense, because people aren't treating each other like crap. So everybody's still trying to band together to do everything they can, and law enforcement is actively searching, still actively searching since February, unlike, it's crazy that they did get put behind bars, because let me tell you, I've got some other playlists. Wisconsin is not very good at getting children out of their unsafe homes. They're not good at giving predators and things like that appropriate sentences. And so I'm hoping that changes, because, county by county, things can be different. And I don't know if any of you guys follow the Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey case, Kathleen Zellner Making a Murderer on Netflix. Really has a lot of people divided on that case. But this is in the same county. Same county. Manitowoc County. As a matter of fact, they actually recently searched the Avery salvage yard with regards to Elijah's case. I don't believe that they thought a family member had anything to do with it, but they had gotten a tip, so they did what they did. The difference, I think, here, and if you have seen not just the Elijah Vu playlist, but if you've seen, I've made a lot of contrast over months between this case and Elijah's case, when it's the local Two Rivers Police Department. When you listen to them speak on Elijah's case, they have taken him on as, they're seeing their own children in him and the pain. Well, yeah, I mean, the way a lot of these things happen, a lot of it is, there's meth, there's a potential mother tie, which, I'll bring up tomorrow night. And, depending on the apartment complex and the things that happen there. And you also get into the thing, I've talked about this before, people turn the cheek to child, CA, SA, DV, they don't. That has been brought up, but because I was really hung up on Minnesota myself, like right away. But law enforcement has had this like really particular radius, and I know that they had, and they still do, have a link where anybody who had footage on any date, like the 19th, 20th, of, this vehicle or any of them, or anything of interest, to upload it. I guess part of me believes that it's, they might have reason enough to believe that Jesse didn't leave that area, but that doesn't mean that Jesse didn't pass him off to someone, change vehicles. I don't know, because we just don't know what they have. The positive is that while this is going on, that they brought them in on those charges. But they had a lot more concrete, Jesse is very open about what I would call abuse, but, he was very open about his approach in his apartment with Elijah. And, but then there was also a lot of electronic text messages, and Facebook messages where it was quite clear that, Katrina had committed neglect as well. So, who did what, nobody knows yet. But it's another, but I just hope in Elijah's case, at least, that this is going to look more like how they handled things in Madeline Soto's case. Let's get him behind bars for this so we can do this. And we will come back with everything in a package with a nice big bow on it, and boom. And that's what I'm more hopeful will happen. But in 2024, when you're dealing with some of the characters that you're dealing with, and you have to worry about taking kids across state lines, and I mean that's a big deal. If he was in Minnesota or even in Chicago, because if you went the opposite direction or you handed them off, once you cross state lines, that's the one way you could likely get FBI, federal charges, if you cross the state lines. I mean, FBI is involved in the case, and there's, and we've talked about rewards in Sebastian's case. I mean, we're talking about these people hung out with probably a lot of people who needed money to do a lot of things that weren't good. There's a $40,000 reward, and there's still nothing. That's a lot of money. So, and I definitely think people know in Elijah's case. So, yeah. So if you are up late tomorrow night, 9:30 Central, please tune in for that. Hopefully we can learn something, at least maybe get some insight into what Katrina is thinking there right now. Just like a lot of us are probably wondering, like, what's in Katie's mind right now? What's in Chris's mind? Yeah, so we'll get some insight on that tomorrow night. And if anything changes with that on the timing or the day, I would post about it. I did have a link posted, but I think I'm going to have to delete the scheduled one. I think I'm going to do it through StreamYard instead. So, yes. So hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow night. Yeah, they really quickly were like, this, no, he didn't wander off. This is not a disappearance. We're not buying this. So yeah, that's about all I got for tonight. Yeah, the main reason I was coming on here, though, was regarding, Jules. And if for nothing else, I really appreciate everybody being here. Oh, well, welcome here for the first time, Ellie. I hope you hang around. You bring up a lot of great points tonight, Ellie, that make me think you might have found the right home. So, yeah, so I appreciate everybody. And if you are able to tune in live tomorrow night, otherwise you can catch it on the replay. If you can't make it that late, I personally don't love doing it that late, but since it's got to be I wanted to do it sooner rather than later. So that was the way to make sure it happened soon. So thank you. I appreciate all of you guys. And yes, if you want anything else on Sebastian or Elijah, they're all under the playlists. Jules is not a great. Yeah. I mean, and neither am I, because, I could literally dedicate my days to just posting and, doing videos just to do them, but I just can't. So hopefully, I think what we're just gonna learn tomorrow night is, maybe some incidents that maybe took place, and maybe some of the things that she has shared. Do I believe that she probably sat in jail and confessed to everybody that, what really happened, to Elijah? No. There's a chance she doesn't know entirely where Elijah is, to even have that information to give, as far as mom is concerned, because there wasn't a whole ton of time that transpired. I mean, the police took action quickly. But yes, I hope you can tune in and just please be respectful if you do. We're not here to judge. It's not we're not here to talk about her. We're here to just get what she has to share, and you can discern from it what you want to. I just, want to get as much information from her as I can, and maybe we'll do a better dissection of that information, in a second stream. But, I just, if we're not respectful of people sharing just because of our own points of view, then people won't talk. Similar to the neighbor Bobby, she talked, then, you have half that are bashing and half that aren't. And then now is she going to talk again? I don't know. Is somebody else not going to? I don't know. So it's kind of the same thing here. If we try to just give people a platform to share, and we can ask the questions we hope to ask, and get what we can try to get from it. But the reality is I'm not talking to her because of her life. I'm talking to her about her direct experience with someone. And, we will see. Yeah, it is absolutely sickening, Vivian, absolutely sickening. But if you had any questions that you think you might want me to ask on your behalf, and you might not make it to the live chat tomorrow to ask those questions, or you just want to make sure that you don't forget, or something, that you might have for the woman that, was incarcerated with Katrina, feel free to email them to me at stopthemadnessinfo@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to ask them, and hopefully we'll get some information. If nothing else, it's a way to continue to get get Elijah talking, being talked about, because he's not. Although I don't think I want his case being talked about to the level Sebastian's case is being talked about, as far as the crap show, which is another reason why I just said, let's just do this tomorrow night, because from a week from now, for all I know, there could be 30 other channels that are, going a whole different direction with this very same person. And so I would rather just ask my questions, and we'll discern from it what we can. So, but thank you all again this evening, and I hope you guys all have a great night. I hope that you are able to tune in tomorrow night, but if not, you can always watch it again on the replay, and just continue, if you can, to share Sebastian's flyer, share Elijah's flyer, along with so many of the others, because there's more than we could possibly count. So with that, maybe we all just go to bed a little more grateful for what we have tonight. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you guys soon. Have a good night.